In today's video, I'm playing Rimworld with Winston Waves and Combat Extended. I'm going to try and survive 20 waves, but this isn't a story of one colony, it's a story of multiple failures. I've not played Rimworld without overhaul mods in a while. I was going to do a medieval playthrough, but I've noticed a few Americans watch my videos, and I know there's nothing they like more than guns.
I understand why you love guns so much. I mean, it completely detaches you from the guilt of your actions.
Don't worry, I've not forgotten about you Brits. We gunned down a few charging tribal warriors, just like the good old days. I'll explain Winston Waves if you've never heard of it. Winston doesn't scale with wealth, instead you receive waves of increasing difficulty. Every 5th wave we're going to get a boss, but every time we defeat a wave we get a reward. It can be a pawn joining, weapons, it can be food. Our dreams were crushed for this colony. A group of mechanoids gunned us down. How are you going to give me 14 Robocops on wave 8? 14, that's this many. Too many.
LAPD, motherfucker, you're under arrest.
I obviously thought that Crash Landed wasn't the vibe for this kind of playthrough, so I tried The Rich Explorer. Also not the vibe for this playthrough. Our dreams for this colony were crushed. It was a mixture of tribal warriors that spit fire and disease, which obviously is just like not ideal for anything that we're trying to do right here, you know what I'm saying? So next time, less of that please. Colony number 3. The dreams were crushed yet again by some insects. One of our stupid boys was like, oh, I want some insect jelly, tried to scran it, died. We had to come try and save him, and then they died. A man in black came, he also died. You may be sensing some sort of theme, and you'd be right. You'd be correct, because there is. It's a lot of death, a lot of failure. I said it at the start of the video. If you didn't hear it, that's your fault. The next colony was going swimmingly up until wave 6, where things went less swimmingly. The first enemy was gunned down, and after some friendly fire, the enemy was dead. Or so I thought. And because I'm an idiot, I didn't realise that that was actually only half of the enemy raiders. The other half were assaulting from the north. Those bastards. I'm one of them, to be fair. The enemy raiders decided to retreat and steal some of our stuff, and in fact people are very sad. But one of them died, and then the other one died, and then there was one. And then we waited a day to get raided. The next wave came soon enough. 16 tribal warriors. Our one remaining guy stood no chance against a horde of barely clothed assailants. They surrounded and butchered. Even with guns, we stood little chance. And then I thought, maybe, probably, switch it up. One of the things I've noticed is, obviously because we're always getting attacked, we've got no time to farm, although we do continuously get sent streams of raiders. Therefore, if we can turn them into a food source with cannibalism, that would be a good thing, right? Correct. I had very long ambitions, so when I say long, I mean long. First thing we did was assigned the local ruins to be deconstructed and then reconstructed into a wall that would provide defense for the next, hopefully, 20 waves. I then got some bedrooms on the go. As I said before, mental breakdowns are gonna consistently happen, regardless of bedrooms apparently, but they help. I then mined out what would be a kitchen/human recycling centre. You could say we're so green we're red. Like blood? You know, all the blood. Because we're gonna, murder them and then eat the blood. Yeah, actually, we might have to tone it down a little bit. You know what, I'm gonna call it recycling. We'll stick to the whole recycling centre thing. Recycling the bodies, that's what we're doing. With my long aspirations, I thought I would need some research and some stone. So a stone cutting table and a research bench were necessary items. Research was quick-ish. We were kind of just in a room folding papers. I then got a prompt to name the colony. So I decided on the eaters and the eatery, because we eat the people that come here to try and kill us, and it's just like a little warning for them, so they know. I then began planning even further into the future, constructing even more space for us to grow into, and that's when the second raid arrived. I didn't mention the first one because they died to insects, and realistically I shouldn't mention this one either because they also died to insects. Now I've actually really liked playing with insects on the map with this storyteller, because the insects buy you a few waves. In some cases, it's bought me like 6, and where I didn't actually have to fight anyone, the insects on the map killed them for us. But then you get shit like this, where somebody just is in the middle of a field, and then decides they want to go eat something, heads straight for the jelly, and gets eaten by insects. Well, not really eaten, just kind of cut up. They don't really eat the humans, they just cut them up a little bit and then watch them bleed out. And unfortunately, McBlack, like many others, died cause of death being insects and stupidity. McBlack, you stupid motherfucker. But it's fine, because we've got solar power, which makes up for the fact that one of our colonists died. Now, when we get solar power, what can we do with it? You may be thinking, right now? Not that much. We can get an electric cooker. Yeah, that's pretty much it. We don't really have that many things researched because, you know, the main focus is obviously not dying. The insects showing their worth. Killing Wave 3 before they even reached us. In fact, before they even decided to attack, the tribal warriors walked straight into the insects and died. But in the process, most of the insects got quite injured. I figured the next wave is probably just going to overrun them because they're going to have guns. So I decided that traps were necessary. And with the long game in mind, I had big aspirations. So I created what would eventually become a murder kill zone. Wave 4 soon arrived. It was a bunch of Wookiees. Surprisingly enough, they are not friendly in Rimworld. The reward for this raid I was hoping would be pretty good, but in fact, the prosthetics that we received weren't actually that useful. I mean, we're talking Circadian Half Cycler, Detoxifier Lung, Bionic Ear, Armor Skin Gland, and Gastro Analyzer. Wave 5. It was a boss wave. These enemies explode when they're killed, which could be a blessing, could be a curse. Once again, the insects saved us from a terrible, or what I'm assuming would be a terrible death.
I guess we'll never know.
The remains of the wave were exterminated by our traps, and then we chose a new pawn as our reward, because obviously we lost that other guy to some idiocy. I mean, at this point, we had an electric cooker, we had a battery, I was on top of the world. We were edging ever closer to creating guns, but unlike regular Rimworld, Winston Waves doesn't really give you a chance to reflect on the story, because there really isn't one. It's just consistent death and death. Yeah, accurate. I realised in this next wave that if I could catch a few of them by themselves at the very start of the fight, I could dink them with our magical ranged weaponry, which these Wookiees have never seen before. Chewbacca would be ashamed that man always had his crossbow. With an incredible shot from our boy, which was a miss. Actually, he hit the wrong target. I wasn't firing at this bloody woolly mammoth thing, but it pissed the woolly mammoth off, and he tried to murder the Wookiees, which overall is quite a positive thing. Now that I'm thinking about it, well done, Mr. Woolly Mammoth, whatever the fuck you are, I don't know. My bad, Mega Sloth. If you're gonna win the raid for us, I guess we kinda deserve to get your name right. Now at this point I thought all the insects were dead. Turns out I was wrong, and it murdered one of them. One of them with quite a lot of good gear on them. I wasn't paying much attention, but either the insect murdered them all, or it murdered enough of them to make them flee. Therefore we won. Now it was at this point that I wanted to make sure that all of my pawns had at least a primary weapon and then a secondary to switch to, because if there's one thing that Call of Duty has taught me, it's switching to your sidearm is faster than reloading. And with these new weapons and newfound confidence in the fact that we could shoot people, I decided to go for a good old flankaroonie, which is the technical strategical term for the flank maneuver, where you go from behind. Lol. They actually went straight into the traps, and the only remaining man was gunned down by all of our men very swiftly. And that was that. Wave over. This shit's too easy. We were so close to being able to make guns, I could taste it. It was in the air. I mean, at this point I thought everything was looking up, this raid should be easy, and then it turned out to be a drop pod raid right in the middle of our base. I thought, ooh, better get out of that bedroom before we get murdered. But also, I thought we needed the range advantage. So I moved all our men down to the stockpile. But the bolt action rifles we had weren't going to do too much damage if we just stayed out in the open. So I decided to use what is called guerrilla warfare, which is essentially where you pop out, pow pow, disappear into the night. So he fired on the approaching pigmen. When they got too close, he pulled back inside. But clearly these pigmen aren't very tactical thinkers, because they left all of my boys because they get bored of breaking a door down. And then charged with all our men, all our weapons firing. We killed 2. One of our men went down. Unfortunately we had to retreat and leave behind. What can I say? Were not the Marines. I then decided to extinguish the fire before it extinguished our lives. That one's going to be a little bit more tricky. We then charged again, opened firing on the single pigman that was in our vicinity and decided to attack us. Fortunately, another one came with a chain shotgun. We won in the melee, which caused the rest of the pigmen to run in fear. We chose a new pawn as our reward, and luckily, the new pawn arrived just in time to nab one of the enemy pigmen's weapons and used it against them. Now, our bedrooms had been utterly destroyed. We had to set up a little medical centre in the recycling centre. Now that wave really almost did finish us off, so I figured we should probably fix those bedrooms, because we're still in it for the long haul, you know what I'm saying? J-Rock again, let's do it. Also, because I care so much about my colonists, I put a stick in the ground for them so they could entertain themselves. And soon enough, the next raid arrived. This time, 'twas tribals. So, less scary, but quite a lot of them. Or at least this wave would have been much less scary if I had patched the hole in the wall instead of constructing a bedroom. Now they're coming in and I didn't know what to do. And there was too many to try and stand and fight, so I retreated. Unfortunately, some of the people were as quick as others, so they got butchered. Which is sad for them, obviously, but as long as we don't all die, things will still be okay. I could no longer sit back and watch them burn what I'd worked so hard to create. The solar power was gone, and that really peeved me off. So I opened fire on the tribal raiders I could see. But unfortunately they got close, so I tried to run away. He followed me inside. But luckily, I had a beer bottle handy, so I murdered him. What did I tell you about guerrilla tactics, baby? I was actually slowly bleeding out, so I patched myself up. But unbeknownst to me, the warrior I thought I had murdered was only unconscious for a short while. He woke back up and penetrated my body several times with his weapon. And that was that. It was over. Winston Waves is not fun for me to play. I didn't enjoy this. If anything, this was masochism. But if you enjoyed, subscribe. If you didn't, tell me why. Comment. Tell me why you didn't enjoy it. Also, you want to see me playing any games in any specific ways? Let me know in the comments. Type it down. Nothing too weird though. Why don't you click one? One of these. Just click one. Left or right. Or this one. There's one here too. This one? No? It's a good song, right? It's a jam. It is. Might just stay here for a bit.